For nearly 200,000 years, humans never stayed in one place. They followed food, followed weather, followed herds. Then one day, they stopped. They built walls, planted seeds, and never left again. What actually made humans give up the one lifestyle that had kept our species alive for millennia?
Early humans lived as hunter-gatherers, moving in small bands of 20 to 50 people. When a region's plants were picked clean or animals moved on, the group packed up and followed. Movement wasn't a choice, it was survival. Staying too long in one spot meant starvation. Wandering actually had real advantages. Fresh hunting grounds meant fresh meat. Moving camps meant less disease, since waste and filth never had time to build up. Groups spread risk across many small territories, instead of gambling everything on one patch of land. Around 11,700 years ago, the Ice Age ended. Earth's climate warmed and stabilized in a way it hadn't in tens of thousands of years. Rain patterns became predictable. Certain regions, especially near rivers, suddenly produced enormous amounts of wild food, year after year, in the same place.
In parts of the Middle East, wild wheat and barley grew in thick, natural clusters. A family could gather enough grain in 3 weeks to feed themselves for a year. For the first time, one location could outproduce constant movement. Wandering away from that spot suddenly made less sense. Bands began staying near these grain fields longer. What used to be a 2-week stop stretched into 2 months, then a full season. Semi-permanent camps appeared, built to last, not to be abandoned in a week. People were still nomadic, but their leash was getting shorter. At some point, someone noticed that seeds dropped near camp grew into new plants next season. Whether by accident or curiosity, people began pressing seeds into the ground on purpose. It wasn't invention, it was observation. Nature had already been doing it. Humans just repeated the pattern deliberately. Planting changed everything about risk. Grain could be dried and stored for months, something meat and fresh greens couldn't do. A stored surplus meant a bad hunting week no longer meant starvation. For the first time, security came from staying, not from moving. Settling down wasn't free of danger. Fixed camps meant waste piled up, water sources got contaminated, and disease spread faster between people living close together. Early farmers were often shorter and sicker than their nomadic ancestors, but the food surplus outweighed the health cost, and the population kept growing anyway. More stored food meant more children survived infancy. Nomadic mothers could only carry one dependent baby at a time. Settled mothers could raise several children at once. Populations that used to hover around 50 people ballooned into hundreds within a few generations, all clustered around the same fields. With permanent homes came a new idea. This land is ours. Territory used to mean wherever we are right now. Now it meant a specific plot, marked, defended, and passed down. Ownership, borders, and inheritance were born the moment humans stopped treating land as something you simply pass through. Tents and temporary shelters were replaced by mud brick houses, storage pits, and shared walls. Villages like Çatalhöyük in modern-day Turkey grew to thousands of residents, built directly on top of older layers of the same settlement. People weren't just staying. They were building on top of the past. Farming wasn't easier than hunting and gathering. It meant harder labor, worse health, and more disease. But it produced something wandering never could: surplus, security, and permanence. Humans didn't stop wandering because it was better. They stopped because staying still finally paid more than moving did.